He did the Monster
Monster
Mash.
Mash.
Ooh, Halloween is just around the corner. 2 weeks from today. And that means it is time for pumpkin displays and pumpkin carving.
Yeah, let's face it though, for most of us, creating amazing pumpkin productions like this just isn't in the cards. But that doesn't stop us from trying to craft those porch presentations.
But did you know there is a right and a wrong way to tackle carving this fall gourd?
I had no idea. Friend of the show, though, Jerry James Stone, is with us this morning to share everything you need to know ahead of the spooky season. Jerry, thanks so much for being with us. Okay, so we've got to start with the first question. When carving a pumpkin, is it better to go with a bigger pumpkin or a smaller one?
You know, honestly, the size of the pumpkin isn't going to matter so much. The problem with pumpkins is once you carve them, you have a hollowed out vegetable. And that's really what you're fighting against. You're fighting against the fact that once you cut into any vegetable, whether it's something you're keeping in the fridge or you're putting on your porch, it's immediately going to start to mold. So the size won't matter too much.
That's good to know.
That is
actually.
good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, okay, I saw you had the bottom carved out there. Do you go in from the top or the bottom?
I go in from the bottom. So the thing is once you carve this pumpkin, especially once it's outdoors, moisture is going to start to build inside the pumpkin. So if you carve it from the top, then that moisture is going to drip down and pool at the bottom of the pumpkin.
Oh.
And moisture, as you know from all the storage tips I've given you, is the enemy when it comes to mold, right? So by carving it at the bottom, that moisture can drip down and go outside of the pumpkin. It also makes it really easy to light because you can put the candle right there on the bottom and just light it. And you have your lit pumpkin and you just, boom, put that part on top. So it's a lot easier to light that way than reaching in with the candle. So it's a twofer.
Oh, you know what? That just solved two pumpkin problems that I've had in the past. So this is just like a follow-up on that question. Do you have to keep the bottom part, like keeping the bottom part intact? Will that keep the pumpkin fresher?
I mean, it's probably a little bit safer. You probably don't want to put a candle directly on any surface otherwise. So, I mean, I think and also having a little bit of a seal will help. But the main thing is like that moisture is going to build. And as it builds inside the pumpkin, you want a place for it to go. Just like in the same way you have, your plants, you have those drip holes in the pots for like the water to go out. It's the same sort of thing right there.
Got it. Oh.
Yeah, I wish I had had these tips earlier because
See? I'm glad I waited.
My pumpkin's already done. So I think that's the question many folks have. How do you kind of make it last? That's a great tip of going in from the bottom, but if you're maybe setting it outside and a wild creature might eat it, you certainly don't want to treat it in a way that could be harmful to the animals.
100%. And, you just mentioned one thing that's really important. Actually, procrastination is one of the best things when it comes to jack-o'-lantern. So carve it up into the last minute, right? You were perfect to wait. So waiting to the last minute to carve it, it's going to obviously last longer. What I like to do is I spray the pumpkin after I carve it. I spray the pumpkin with 1 part vinegar, 1 part water. And the reason I do that is I spray it and then wipe it down and dry it because that actually removes any mold spores or any bacteria that's on the pumpkin, which is going to cause it to mold faster. And then, I will kind of just treat it that way with another little spray once a week, just keeping that pumpkin clean as long as I can. And you're exactly right, Alex. You don't want to use any toxic things. So a lot of times blogs will say, hey, use bleach. Please don't use bleach. You want you want to be able to compost it. You want animals to be able to eat it after you're done using it. Bleach is toxic to them. So it's better to use vinegar and water.
Just on the outside, or do you spray it on the inside too?
All over, outside and inside.
Okay, good to know. Oh, my pumpkin's going to last till Easter. You just wait. Okay, so it's not just about the pumpkin carving, but also you got seeds in there that some people love. So what's the best way to deal with those?
So the seeds, they're stuck to all the insides of the pumpkin. So what I like to do is I put them in a large bowl of water. It makes it really easy to clean the seeds. The seeds will actually float to the top, and all the pumpkin guts will float to the bottom or sink to the bottom. So it's a really easy way to clean the seeds. And then when you take them out, I take the seeds, I boil them in a little bit of salted water to kind of get some flavor in there, and then dry them out, add whatever seasoning you want, and then roast them. And then, they're absolutely perfect. That salt boil beforehand just kind of gives it that depth of flavor, but it's just a really easy way to clean the seeds if you use that water trick.
Man,
I'm so glad I waited. I knew procrastination was a good idea.
The one time
this year.
procrastinating works, right? Now, Jerry, the West has dealt with some drought conditions in other areas as well this summer. Has that affected the pumpkin crop?
I mean, I think it's affecting all crops. We're sort of seeing just, how climate change and those weather patterns are really affecting us. California grows over 50% of the fresh produce for the nation, and so that's a really big hit when we start having severe weather issues. And, we're seeing those water levels go lower and lower, and it's definitely affecting our crops.
Yeah, we're looking at the drought monitor, and it's still bad out there. So great tips. Jerry James Stone, always good to have you with us. I'm going to carve a pumpkin like an expert now. And you can get more helpful hints throughout the season by subscribing to Jerry's YouTube channel and following him on Twitter at Jerry James Stone.
That is truly remarkable tips, no doubt about it. Man, I wish I had just a week ago, if I had talked to Jerry James, I would have had a longer lasting pumpkin.